What is one of your favorite memories of us?
For those of you that don't know, I took Soleil Moon Frye to her prom and ended up throwing her in the ocean.
You were very popular.
Yo, we're here in San Diego.
Do you remember you picked me up from school one day and 90210 had gotten so big, a friend wanted to come and you guys couldn't tell people where the set was, and so she had to be blindfolded because
I love that story.
90210 was
That's so
such
gangster.
a huge hit.
I sort of stole a motorcycle and ended up driving it from Hollywood out to your house. Pretty sure the cops pulled us over, and yeah, I guess I really wanted to see you.
Dance to the 90s, no drugs.
It's really crazy looking back. I ran into Johnny Depp 4 or 5 years ago at like the Golden Globes, and I met him at your birthday party.
Oh my God, I love you guys so much.
Everyone is cheering for you, and they want you to succeed because they love seeing you and they love the energy that you bring.
You do realize you always get me into tears. Hey everyone, it's Soleil Moon Frye, and I have the honor of interviewing my dear friends, Brian Austin Green and Balthazar Getty.
Only on ET.
I love you guys.
Nice.
You
Good
guys
work.
did great. That was that.
Right
that
on.
felt
I
good.
felt good about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian, I love you so much.
I love you
This
too.
is truly a dream
This is
come
cool.
true.
How crazy is this
Look
to
at
be
it,
sitting at this bar on the set of ET, doing
Like
this?
grown-ups,
I know.
like kind of, except that we're not, right? Because I still feel like I'm such a kid when I'm with you.
We were literal kids when we met. So this is with the cameras around and the documentary and all. It's a bit surreal.
As a teenager, I carried a video camera with me everywhere I went. I kept all of my diaries. I kept every one of my voicemail messages. I documented everything, and then I locked it away for over 20 years. What did you think when I told you that I was doing this and when you saw the footage?
You and your brother running around with the camera and filming everything and recording everything and documenting everything. I didn't have the foresight at that time to know, like, oh, this is something she can hold on to and later in life watch back.
I think so much of it was because on a subconscious level, I was putting away so many of the memories.
Your ability, though, to do that and think that far ahead in your life at such a young age is such a testament to who you are to me. And it's no wonder to me that people loved watching you when you were a kid. Everyone is cheering for you and they want you to succeed because they love seeing you and they love the energy that you bring.
You do realize you always get me into tears.
Well,
You do
all right,
because,
I want my $5 now.
because as I looked throughout the memories in my mind and the diaries, and I talk about this in the doc, you always showed up. You were always there for me. And you have always been there for me. And I'm so grateful for that.
First of all, thank you. I take compliments horribly, so I'm gonna say thank you first. And then say that it wasn't a choice with you. It wasn't a conscious choice that I had to make. You were like, hey, this is going on. I was like, cool, so where do you need me to be? Like, that just wasn't even,
I was like, can you pick me up from school?
that's just never.
I was the coolest girl at school, by the way, when you would come and get me from school. I have to say.
Really?
There was nothing cool. Yeah, you had like the coolest car. You were like the coolest thing.
I mean,
you were,
what was
you know,
I
you were a little,
driving
you
there?
were a
What, I had
little
my
older.
Bronco
Your
too?
Bronco too.
Yeah.
And you were a little bit
It's a
older.
chick car.
And I was
Yeah,
in high
the
school.
total chick
yeah,
magnet, that car.
completely.
I'm not used to driving a stick.
Do you remember when you picked me up from school one day and 90210 had gotten so big and a friend wanted to come and you guys couldn't tell people where the set was, and so she had to be blindfolded because
I love that story.
90210 was
That's so
such
gangster.
a huge hit, and you were like, well,
that's such a mafia
Soleil, I thought I was
move.
just taking you, and like I trust you, and I know you, but
Your
I
friend's
don't
gonna
know
have to
this
get in the
girl.
trunk. I'm
and
gonna have to
so-
tie her up.
By the way, she literally had to put a blindfold on, and that was the only way that she was
That's
allowed
awesome.
to come.
That's
Brian,
awesome, but I'm so sorry
I mean,
for
how?
whoever that friend was. If you're watching this, I'm so sorry that I gagged you and
mean-
tied you up in the trunk of the car just to go to a set. We worked in Van Nuys. We were next to a
Well,
porn
that's how big the show
manufacturer.
was.
Literally, there were like 12 kids in the business. So we all knew everyone. we all knew each other.
You speak about in the doc how there was this group that were growing up together. What was that like for you?
I think it took a bit of the pressure of what I was doing being a career choice out of it, because there was no competition, it didn't feel like, within it. It was, I didn't have somebody that I would see in a waiting room auditioning for something and I'd go, oh man, you know, damn it, Seth Green's here. Like, I'm never gonna get this now. It was like, it was either Seth Green is your type or I'm your type. I was never popular in school. I never hung out with certain groups. I would like mingle around with everybody. And the first group that I had in my life that I remember were other actors. Like that was, we all spent so much time together, and that was us. It was this inseparable group. If there was a teen magazine trip going on somewhere, we were the ones going. Yeah. It was like, oh, who's gonna be don't ask who's gonna be there. You know who's gonna be there. Like that was a silly question. It was like, oh, so we're all gonna go out of town for the weekend. Great.
Totally. We went
trips.
to San Diego. And
San Diego was probably the best.
It was amazing.
Flew there. We flew there, which is insane.
Literally, do you remember, well, yeah, the jumping from balconies?
Yeah. But the video that you showed me in the doc was from a San Diego trip.
Yeah, from San Diego.
Not for, we took a few San Diego trips, but I remember
with
that
us
one.
And Robin Thicke and all of that whole group.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wild. And we got into a little trouble.
Well, and it's amazing too how much honestly is such a short period of time in the grand scheme of life, how much we've all gone through. And I saw somebody sent me an old picture of me with Leo and Toby at some bowling thing, and it's so funny because we're kids.
Well,
like,
and it's wild, right?
Crazy. It's really crazy looking back on like what life was and the people that we were hanging out with then that were just friends of ours. I ran into Johnny Depp 4 or 5 years ago at like the Golden Globes, and I met him at your birthday party at, I don't know what hotel that was, but it was him, and Bubbles the chimp was there too, in overalls.
I started developing rapidly, going from a B to a C to a double D to almost spilling into an E, and this all happened between the time that I finished Punky till I was 15. For me, it was really interesting going from being a kid to then going through puberty and almost being thrusted into adulthood in a way, because I was developing so quickly.
Yeah.
And so I was treated much differently, even though I was still so young.
I really wish that I was around for more of it for you. I mean, obviously I wasn't meant to be, and
you were. Do you not remember us going parasailing? Right after my surgery?
I remember that, but I mean, like, at the point when I started working, like, we lost touch a bit because I was so busy doing that. I feel like I missed out on being super supportive through all of that for you, because I was going through my own changes and my own stuff, the popularity of the show and work and all of that. We hung out a few times, but
you were so there for me. It's so wild that you don't remember that, because you were completely there for me.
I mean, that's great to hear, but I don't feel like I was there enough. I know now about stuff that you went through and things, and I really wish that you never felt alone for any of that, because that sucks.
I think we all must have felt lonely in some ways, or at least some of us more than others. I know that in retrospect and watching these videos. Throughout the doc, I deal with some really painful moments, and also ghosts of the past of people whom I love so much who are no longer here, although I feel like they're angel wings are surrounding me.
Right. Yeah, they're still here.
I think of Jonathan Brandis, who I love so much.
I love you, Soleil. I love her. I've always loved her.
I did the pilot for Saved by the Bell with Jonathan and Jaleel White.
Wow.
I had no idea. We were kids when we were doing that, and we'd known each other for so long. It's amazing that people are able to mask that much pain. That situation hit me hard because I've known Jonathan for so long, and that was the first smack in the face of like, oh, this isn't, we're not superheroes. We can only take so much. Like, we are living, breathing people. We're delicate, you know? Things can go wrong so fast, so easily. So that was a reminder of that for me.
Soleil, it's Jonathan. I don't know if you got my message last night. Soleil, it's Jonathan. You paid. Soleil, it's Jonathan. It's about 10 o'clock.
We used to leave these voicemails for each other, right? And do you remember how you'd fill up each other's machine, right?
Yeah.
So Jonathan would leave these like 20, 30-minute messages and just be like, I'm gonna keep talking until your machine
Your
is
tape
filled.
is done, right.
And it was so incredible because, you know, I'd press pound, right? Or 9 or whatever you would do to fast forward it or go to the next one after like 15 minutes of listening to it. And as I was listening to the tapes back, in the last 2 minutes or 1 minute, he would start sharing his feelings, like his deep feelings of how he really felt. And what a gift to be able to hear him from the other side, you know? And it just goes to this thing around how often things are happening around us and we just don't see it.
That's when you start getting in your head, you start worrying about what you're wearing or how you're walking or what you're doing or how you're perceived. It was the first time that I was like really aware of learning to be who I wanted to be.
Do you feel, in the world in which your kids are interested in getting into the business, do you feel like protecting them from it, or would you be open to it?
I'm not sure how, to be honest. It's changed so much from when we were kids and in the business. I kind of feel like the best thing I can do as a parent is just make sure that my kids morally have a good sense of right and wrong and what makes them feel good and not, and what affects other people negatively or positively, and then put them out there and hope that they can navigate it. I'm just trying to give them as much of what I've learned and who I am as possible, and then hope that that's enough.
I love you, Brian. I love your family. I love, what an amazing dad you are.
I feel like we've always been on the same path. We've taken different things, but you and I are headed somewhere together. Always have been.
Always.
I think always will be.
Yeah. I love you, Brian.
I love you too.
I can't believe you have this. You know, we would just talk for 2-3 hours at night if we hadn't seen each other that day, and even, you know, fall asleep on the phone, and we were just so close.
So I have to say that you were really someone that inspired me to go on this journey, right? Do you remember encouraging me to open up this box of tapes?
I do, yeah. I remember very clearly having a lot of conversations with you, and it just became more and more apparent in a way that, you know, this was your story, and that you could see these other stories through your eyes.
A lot of the documentary is about the experiences that we all had. Tell me, what is one of your favorite memories of us?
Probably the now infamous prom that I took you to. For those of you that don't know, I took Soleil Moon Frye to her prom and ended up throwing her in the ocean.
You actually carried me
Carried
into the
you,
ocean.
and we walked in.
It was very
We
sweet.
walked in together as sort of the topping on the cake at the end of the night. And I just remember coming to your house a lot when we were young and always feeling like the love that your mom created there and that you guys had, and it was always such a fun, safe place, you know?
One of my favorite stories of us, of course, is our motorcycle story.
I sort of stole a motorcycle and ended up driving it from Hollywood out to your house, and pretty sure the cops pulled us over, and maybe we ended up like at the cop
I think you were like 12,
station or
right?
something.
How old are you, 12?
I think I was probably 13, 14 maybe. Yeah, I guess I really wanted to see you.
I mean, you and your family are some of the closest people in my life. There was such a small group of us growing up, and those friendships and how intertwined they were and how they continue on today?
Yeah, I mean, it still is, but it was a smaller town back then. You know, if you were in the industry and, you know, we all knew each other, sort of ran in the same circles, and then a smaller group of us forged lifelong relationships.
So I unlocked my vault. I have a little vault that has been unlocked to share with you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm getting nervous.
Let's see if I can figure out. Okay.
I knew eventually I wanted to do something in the film industry. I didn't think I'd pursue it at such a young age, so, yeah, something, writing, directing, acting, but I didn't think, you know, I'd be here.
Oh my God, you have to send that to me.
Look at how grown up you are. We're so wise as teenagers, right?
Yeah, I mean, wow. I didn't even know that existed. I'm a big kid at
We're
heart.
both big kids at heart,
yeah,
right?
Definitely. And I mean, that's why I had kids early. I don't know, there's a purity and you know, they're still kind of connected in a different way than us grown-ups, you know?
Now, who was Balt Getty in the 90s? I know who he was to me. Who do you remember him being?
I was a young, cocky, kind of a smartass, but was raised well by a lot of great women. I was a little bit of a troublemaker, sort of connected with kind of a rough crowd when I was young. Even though my childhood was crazy and there was a lot of, you know, a lot of pain and a lot of uncertainty and stuff like that. I feel like my mother gave us a lot of love, and so I have really good memories of those days, you know?
At times we were very adult, and then at times we were really kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
How hard has that been in reconciling with growing up?
I mean, I can remember just being kind of thrown to the wolves at, you know, a young age and having to navigate that.
Yeah, I think it depends on like what your experience was, right?
I can jump higher than most boys in my class, I can hit harder, and I can spit farther. What do I need a boy for?
Because each production is very different. At Punky, we were always on pogo sticks and scooters, and other friends, you know, had a very adult-like experience around them. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my first thing, as you know, was, you know, Lord of the Flies.
If you guys had let the goddamn fire go out, they would have seen it.
Face it, Jack, you f***ed up. We could have been rescued.
13, being dropped on an island, you know, with 20, 30 other guys, and there was almost no supervision at all. And, you know, we almost started creating the environment, and I think it was by design, but it almost started mirroring the film, sort of what was happening
Yeah, I bet.
offset, because we were just a group, you know, 30 guys, you know, on an island. Yeah, it was wild what they allowed us to get away with.
I remember when you came home because I saw you in New York, and I think I snuck out with you, and we ran around New York, and it was as if this experience had really unleashed the wild in you.
I remember meeting up with you afterwards. I was doing press in New York. You know, for me, it was like, I never, and it says it right there in the little interview, you know, I didn't set out to become an actor, per se. You know, I mean, if you know my story, it just sort of happened, right place, right time, and you know, a bunch of things aligned, and the next thing I knew, I was hanging out with Punky Brewster in New York.
It's amazing.
There was a few years stretch in there where it seemed like I was losing a friend every week.
So many of the people that we loved so deeply passed away and didn't make it here today. What was that like, watching back the footage?
It's sad, and you know, you wonder if things have been a little bit different, you know, if they would have survived, and it's really touching. You know, we have lost a lot of people, and you just realize nothing's guaranteed, and while we're here, we have to love our family and our friends, and try to be the best, you know, best people we can.
So true. So many of us are parents now. How protective do you feel like you have to be of your kids in this industry, in the world in which they want to act or perform?
Luckily, or depending on how you want to see it, none of my kids want to be in the business per se. But look, I mean, to be a parent is to, is to be there to protect them, to guide them, but also allow them, to make mistakes. You have to strike that balance where you want to take care of them. But I also know from experience that, it's good to trip and fall.
We have been friends for so many years. What is something that you have always wanted me to ask you?
We've always had great conversations, and we're both can be very chatty,
I mean,
we used to fall asleep on the phone at night after we'd speak for 2 or 3 hours. So I think we probably asked each other every question.
I love you.